I never expected her to remember my name, let alone everything else. The laundromat on Willow stays open all night, the kind of place that hums instead of talks. Fluorescent lights, plastic chairs, a vending machine that eats your dollar and gives you nothing back. I've been going there after midnight because it was cheaper and because no one asked questions when you showed up with a duffel bag and tired eyes. That's where she was the first time, standing too close to a dryer that rattled like it was about to come apart. I noticed her shoes before I noticed her face. Sensible flats. Clean. Not trying. She folded a towel once, then unfolded it, then folded it again like she didn't trust the first version. Machine 6 jams, she said, not looking at me. You have to kick it. Not hard. Just mean enough. I kicked it. The dryer started. She nodded, satisfied, like we'd solved something together. I knew who she was before she said anything else. Everyone did. She was my friend's mom. The one who drove us to practice when we were kids, who always had snacks in her car, but never ate any herself. Seeing her there at 12:38 a.m. felt like catching a teacher outside of school. Unsettling. Ordinary. Both at once. I'm Evan, I said because silence felt rude. I know, she said, and finally looked at me. You're the one who forgets socks. I laughed before I could stop myself. It came out too loud in the quiet room. She smiled, just the corner of her mouth, then went back to folding. Her hands were steady. Rings off. A thin mark where one used to be. We didn't talk much after that. That became our thing. Nods. Small comments about machines. Once, she remembered I liked the soap that smelled like cedar. Another time, she slid a chair toward me when my phone battery died, and I stood there pretending I didn't mind. Loneliness doesn't announce itself. It shows up in habits. In a way I typed messages and deleted them. In how I stayed longer than my laundry needed, watching the minutes tick down on someone else's dryer. In how I noticed the thermos she brought every night and never opened. Sometimes she'd sit across from me, knees angled away like a boundary she didn't want to explain. We shared the vending machine pretzels once. She folded the napkin into careful quarters, then smoothed it flat again with her thumb. You don't have to stay, she said, not unkindly. I know, I said. I stayed anyway. The attraction wasn't a lightning bolt. It was a low-grade warmth. Eye contact that lasted a second too long. Her remembering things she shouldn't. Me noticing when her phone lit up and she didn't pick it up. Me putting my own phone face down without thinking. One night, close to 1, the place emptied out. The dryer's finished. The hum got louder because there was nothing else to cover it. Your mom still makes that lentil soup, she asked, then corrected herself. I mean, your friend's mom. I mean, it's okay, I said. She does. She nodded like that mattered, like it told her something useful. When I left, she said good night instead of goodbye. I stood there with my bag over my shoulder, the door already swinging shut, thinking about how words choose sides when you're not paying attention. Outside, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You forgot your socks. They're safe. Don't come back tonight. I stared at the screen, the laundromat light spilling onto the sidewalk, and realized this had started long before either of us decided to notice. I didn't go back the next night, or the one after that. I told myself it was practical, cheaper to wash during the day, easier to park, but the truth was I didn't trust myself to walk in and pretend nothing had changed. By the 4th night, my clothes piled up anyway. Habits win. I went late, earlier than usual, hoping to miss her. She was there, not at the machines this time. Sitting on the plastic chair near the window, a paper cup of tea cradled in both hands like it needed guarding. Her hair was pulled back loosely, a few strands already slipping free. She looked tired in a way that didn't ask for sympathy. You came back, she said. I needed socks, I said, and immediately felt stupid. She smiled, a real one this time. Machine 6 is behaving, she said. For now. We sat across from each other while the washers thumped. She offered me the tea without asking. I hesitated, then took it. It tasted like chamomile and something else I couldn't place. Honey, maybe, or habit. I don't usually drink it here, she said, but the house feels loud at night. Inodiliki, you understood. I didn't. Not really. My apartment was quiet all the time, the kind of quiet that echoes if you let it. My son's away, she added too quickly. College trip. There it was. The thing she didn't need to say. I watched the steam curl up from the cup, then disappear. I'm only back in town for a few weeks, I said. Between things. She glanced at me, eyes flicking to my hands, then away. Between things can last longer than you think. I wanted to ask how she knew. I didn't. She told me about a job she'd left years ago, a bookstore that smelled like dust and oranges. How she used to hide notes inside returned novels, little sentences meant for no one. She laughed when she said it, but her fingers tightened around the cup. I told her I still typed messages to people who had moved on, then saved them in my drafts like proof I existed once. I hadn't planned to say that. It slipped out between sips. She didn't rush to fill the space. She just nodded. That makes sense, she said. No fixing. No advice. The risk hovered between us like a rule we both knew. Her being older, me being her son's friend. The fact that if anyone walked in, it would look worse than it felt. I imagined scenarios I didn't want to admit. Running into my friend, her phone lighting up at the wrong time, my name said aloud in a room it didn't belong in. The washer stopped. Silence dropped hard. I stood to move my clothes, and she followed, holding the basket while I fumbled with damp sleeves. When I dropped a sock, she bent to pick it up at the same time I did. Our hands brushed. Just skin. Nothing else. She didn't pull away right away. Neither did I. Evan, she said quietly, like she was testing the weight of it. I don't know why that moment stayed with me. Maybe because it felt like someone finally saw me. After that night, the laundromat stopped feeling neutral. I started going at odd hours again, earlier, then later, orbiting a time I couldn't admit I was aiming for. Sometimes she was there. Sometimes she wasn't. Both felt like losses. When she did show up, things were careful. She kept her coat on, sat farther away, asked questions that stayed safely general. I answered the same way, even when I wanted to say more, even when the quiet leaned toward us like it wanted help. Once, I caught her watching me fold my shirts. Not my face, my hands. When she realized I noticed, she looked away and pretended to check her phone. It didn't light up. You don't have to stay, she said again one night, softer than before. I know, I said again. Same answer. Same lie. The first complication came from outside, like they always do. My friend texted while I was there. You back in town? Mom says she ran into you somewhere. Somewhere. The word sat wrong. I didn't reply. Put my phone face down. When I looked up, she was already watching me like she'd felt the shift before I did. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, I said. Then, after a beat, he knows I'm around. Her mouth tightened. Not fear exactly. Calculation. She nodded once. We should be careful. She hadn't said that before. After that, the routine changed. She skipped nights. Or came in, did one load, left early. When she did stay, she talked less. Folded faster. Like if she finished the task, the feeling would dissolve with it. One night, someone walked in while we were sitting together. Just a guy with headphones and a bag of towels. Nothing happened. Still, she stood immediately, creating space with her body before anyone could read into it. I should go, she said, already reaching for her basket. The room felt colder when she moved away. I followed her outside without thinking. The air smelled like rain that hadn't fallen yet. Did I do something? I asked. The question surprised both of us. She stopped, didn't turn around at first. Her shoulders rose, then fell. I don't know what you want, she said, and I don't trust myself not to guess. I'm not. I started, then stopped, because I didn't know how to finish that honestly. She faced me then, close enough that I could see the faint line between her brows, the one that showed up when she was tired of deciding things. This is complicated, she said. I know, I said. Too quickly. Silence. A car passed. Somewhere, a phone rang and kept ringing. She reached out, almost without looking, and straightened the collar of my jacket. A small, unnecessary touch. Her fingers lingered. I could feel the warmth through the fabric. For a second, neither of us moved. Her hand still there. My breath shallow. The space between us narrowed to something fragile, trembling. She leaned in, just enough that I could feel it might happen if I breathed wrong. Then she pulled back. Good night, Evan, she said. Not unkind. Not safe either. I stood there long after she left, replaying the moment we almost stopped pretending. It happened on a Sunday afternoon, which felt unfair somehow. Like tension should wait for night. I was walking past her street without planning to. That's another lie. I slowed when I saw her at the corner bench, the one under the jacaranda that never bloomed on time. She was sitting with her coat folded beside her, thermos in hand, staring at nothing in particular. I almost kept going. She looked up anyway. Saw me. No surprise. Just recognition, like she'd been waiting without admitting it. You're avoiding the machines, she said when I sat down. They're avoiding me, I said. A pause. Wind moved the leaves. She didn't smile. We sat shoulder to shoulder, close enough to feel heat, not close enough to justify it. She poured tea into the lid of the thermos, handed it to me, then immediately looked away, like the act itself had cost her something. My son asked about you, she said. I froze. Not visibly. Inside. What did you say? That you're busy. She watched the steam, not me. That you always were. I took a sip. It tasted wrong this time. Bitter. Or maybe I was. He's been home more, I said. I hadn't meant to. The words came out sharp, edged with something I didn't want to name. Her head snapped toward me. Is that what this is? I didn't answer fast enough. She exhaled, a sound between a laugh and a sigh. I can't do this, she said. Then, quieter, I don't think I ever planned to. Do what? I asked, even though I knew. She folded her hands in her lap, unfolded them. Her fingers shook just a little. Pretend I don't notice when you're gone, or when you're here. Pretend it doesn't change the shape of my day. That landed harder than anything else had. Not because it was dramatic, because it was true. I don't want to be something you regret, I said. She finally looked at me then. Really looked. I already regret how easy it is to breathe when you're around. The bench creaked as she shifted closer. Not touching. Almost worse. I'm supposed to know better, she said. I'm supposed to be done with this part of myself. I watched a leaf fall between our feet. Neither of us moved to step on it. I don't know what I want, I said. I just know I don't want this to disappear without being real for a second. Her throat worked. She nodded once like she was bracing. Evan, she said. My name sounded different here. Less careful. If we cross this line, I know, I said. She lifted her hand, stopped halfway, let hover near my jaw. Didn't touch. Her eyes searched my face like she was memorizing it for later, for when she'd need to remind herself why she walked away. What happens after? She asked. The question hung there between us, unanswered, trembling, waiting to decide us both. It happened on a Sunday afternoon, which felt unfair somehow. Like tension should wait for night. I was walking past her street without planning to. That's another lie. I slowed when I saw her at the corner bench, the one under the jacaranda that never bloomed on time. She was sitting with her coat folded beside her, thermos in hand, staring at nothing in particular. I almost kept going. She looked up anyway. Saw me. No surprise. Just recognition, like she'd been waiting without admitting it. You're avoiding the machines, she said when I sat down. They're avoiding me, I said. A pause. Wind moved the leaves. She didn't smile. We sat shoulder to shoulder, close enough to feel heat, not close enough to justify it. She poured tea into the lid of the thermos, handed it to me, then immediately looked away, like the act itself had cost her something. My son asked about you, she said. I froze. Not visibly. Inside. What did you say? That you're busy. She watched the steam, not me. That you always were. I took a sip. It tasted wrong this time. Bitter. Or maybe I was. He's been home more, I said. I hadn't meant to. The words came out sharp, edged with something I didn't want to name. Her head snapped toward me. Is that what this is? I didn't answer fast enough. She exhaled, a sound between a laugh and a sigh. I can't do this, she said. Then, quieter, I don't think I ever planned to. Do what? I asked, even though I knew. She folded her hands in her lap, unfolded them. Her fingers shook just a little. Pretend I don't notice when you're gone, or when you're here. Pretend it doesn't change the shape of my day. That landed harder than anything else had. Not because it was dramatic, because it was true. I don't want to be something you regret, I said. She finally looked at me then. Really looked. I already regret how easy it is to breathe when you're around. The bench creaked as she shifted closer. Not touching. Almost worse. I'm supposed to know better, she said. I'm supposed to be done with this part of myself. I watched a leaf fall between our feet. Neither of us moved to step on it. I don't know what I want, I said. I just know I don't want this to disappear without being real for a second. Her throat worked. She nodded once, like she was bracing. Evan, she said. My name sounded different here. Less careful. If we cross this line, I know, I said. She lifted her hand, stopped halfway, let it hover near my jaw. Didn't touch. Her eyes searched my face like she was memorizing it for later, for when she'd need to remind herself why she walked away. What happens after? She asked. The question hung there between us, unanswered, trembling, waiting to decide us both. She stopped coming first. Not all at once, just enough to notice. The bench stayed empty. The laundromat lights flicked on and off without her shadow crossing the floor. Machine 6 rattled alone. I told myself it was coincidence, that adults had fuller lives, that I was projecting something fragile onto a routine that never promised anything back. So I changed mine. I stopped going at night. Took my laundry to a place across town where no one knew my name or my habits. I started answering texts I didn't care about just to feel occupied. When my phone buzzed, I hoped it wasn't her and felt stupid when it wasn't. The whiplash came quietly. Hope one morning when I thought I saw her car on the street. Confusion by afternoon when it wasn't there. Withdrawal by evening when I folded clothes too carefully like they might tear if I rushed. Days passed, then more. When she finally showed up again, it wasn't where I expected. I was leaving the grocery store, hands full, when I heard my name. Not the careful version, the real one. She stood near the exit, cart half full, coat buttoned all the way up. Her hair was pinned back tighter than usual, like she was holding something in place. I didn't know you shopped here, I said. I don't, she said. She stopped. Looked past me, then back. Can we talk? We stood by the carts. People passed around us with oranges and bread and plans. She kept her hands on the handle like it was a rail. I pulled away, she said. No apology. Just a statement. Because I realized I wasn't lonely in the way I told myself I was. I waited. My husband still calls, she continued. Not late. Not drunk. Just checking. And I answer. I tell myself it's about logistics. About our son. Her mouth pressed into a thin line. But it's not nothing. That was the thing she hadn't said before. The not nothing. I nodded, even though part of me wanted to argue with the ghost. You don't owe me an explanation. I do, she said immediately. Then softer, I can't let you be the place I hide from decisions I'm avoiding. The words landed cleanly. No cruelty. No drama. Just wait. After that, she kept her distance. Polite nods if we crossed paths. Conversations that stayed above water. She didn't text. I didn't either. I type things sometimes. Questions. Small jokes. Sentences that ended with I hope you're okay. I saved them. Closed the app. One night, I stood outside her street again. Not close enough to be obvious. Close enough to know the lights were on. I imagined knocking. Imagined her opening the door, surprised but not upset. Imagined the version of us that chose differently. I didn't move. I walked home instead, the air cold and unfinished around me. I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt paused, like life forgot to finish the sentence. The night it finally settled, it wasn't planned. I was walking home with a bag of takeout cooling against my leg when I saw her door open. Just a crack. Light spilling onto the porch like it had been waiting. She stood there in socks, hair loose, holding a dish towel. She kept folding and unfolding without realizing it. Evan, she said, not surprised, almost relieved. I should have kept walking. That was the choice. I felt it clearly, the clean edge of it. Retreat. Let the sentence stay unfinished. Instead, I stopped. I wasn't sure if it was you, she said. I thought I heard footsteps. We stood there, not touching. The porch light buzzed softly above us. Somewhere inside, a clock ticked too loud for such a small space. I'm not here to make this harder, I said. I know, she said. Then, after a pause, that might be the problem. She stepped back, just enough to make room. Not an invitation. A question. I crossed the threshold, and the door closed behind me with a careful click. Her kitchen smelled like lemon soap and something warm. Soup, maybe. The thermos sat on the counter, untouched. I noticed it and looked away. I keep thinking I imagined it, she said, leaning against the counter. The way I felt around you. Like it was just a quiet season I misread. You didn't, I said. The words came out before I could soften them. She swallowed. Say it once, she said, and then we'll stop. I hesitated. The cost lined itself up in my chest. My friend, her son, the version of her that slept easier when nothing was complicated. I felt seen, I said, and I know that's dangerous. I know it's not something you can give without losing something else. Her eyes closed for a second. When she opened them, they were wet but steady. I didn't mean to let you in, she said. I just didn't feel like locking the door anymore. We stood there close now, close enough that I could see the faint scar on her wrist, the one I'd never asked about. She reached out and rested her hand on my forearm. No urgency, no claim, just contact. This can't become more, she said. I know, I said, and this time I meant it. She nodded, like that was the hardest part. Her thumb moved once, a small, grounding gesture, then she let go. Okay, she said. It wasn't an ending that solved anything, but it was a choice, one we could both carry without breaking. When I left, she walked me to the door. We shared a small smile, tired, honest. The kind you give someone when you're grateful and letting go at the same time. The door closed softly. Outside, the night felt complete for the first time in weeks. Time didn't rush us after that night. It did what time usually does. It softened the edges and kept going. Weeks passed, then months. My routine shifted without ceremony. I found a job across town, started waking earlier. 8:47 a.m. became a real time again instead of something theoretical. Black coffee instead of whatever was left in the pot. Mornings with weight to them. I didn't avoid her street anymore. I also didn't circle it. We didn't talk for a while. Not because we were pretending nothing happened, but because we'd said enough to know silence wouldn't erase it. Sometimes that's the kindest thing you can do. Let a feeling breathe on its own. The first time we saw each other again was ordinary. Painfully so. I was sitting on the bench under the jacaranda, scrolling without reading, when she stopped in front of me. Same coat, different posture, lighter somehow, like she'd put something down. You're early, she said. Trying a new thing, I said. She nodded, sat beside me. Not close, not far. She handed me a paper cup. There, steam rising. I noticed she finally drank from hers. My husband moved out, she said. Just that. No story attached. It took longer than I wanted. Less time than I feared. I'm glad, I said, and meant it without qualifiers. After that, we walked sometimes. Talked about nothing urgent. Groceries. A show neither of us finished. Her son graduated. Moved. Life rearranged itself quietly. Like furniture shifted an inch at a time until the room worked again. When it finally happened, it didn't feel like a reveal. No confession. No line crossed in dramatic lighting. It was a Tuesday. I was in her kitchen again, helping fix a cabinet hinge that didn't need fixing. She leaned in a look. I leaned back. Our foreheads touched by accident. We stayed there. No ruse. No checking if this was allowed. Just the sense that we'd already paid for this moment in patience. You still here? She asked softly. Yeah, I said. I am. That was it. Now things are normal. Warm. Earned. I leave my shoes by the door. She steals my hoodies. We argue about windows being open at night. We sit on that same bench sometimes, sharing tea, watching people hurry past lives they don't question yet. Machine 6 at the laundromat still jams. She laughs when I kick it too hard. Some mornings, she remembers my order before I say it. Some mornings, she doesn't. Both feel right. We don't talk about how unlikely this is, or how close it came to not existing at all. That's private. That's ours. Sometimes when she pours tea and hands it to me, our fingers brush. Still small. Still intentional. And every time, I think the same thing. Some stories don't end when you expect. They just wait until you're ready to live inside them.